Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I am going to try to get this out there really quickly. I'd like to start off with an apology for being unable to make tonight's halakha, but inshallah you are all having a great time reconnecting or meeting new people. Now, getting down to brass tacks, my journey to Islam began quite some time ago. Now, by blood, I'm quite a mix, mostly of Scandinavian roots, but I do also have a Turkish Islamic branch that is mostly kept hush-hush among my family, mostly due to different beliefs on what the specific situation regarding this family member was. Essentially, the Turkish blood, along with the Islamic belief, was all but forced out of my maternal heritage. And at the end of the day, no one knows the full story. To summarize my knowledge of Islam until I was 15, I will simply say that my father was not the most tolerant of men, rest his soul. He repeated most of his knowledge of Islam from Fox News, which obviously does not represent true Islam in any way. Anyway, I have always had a very close personal relationship with God, but I struggled to find what that meant to me. I craved religion and truth and knew that there is one God. I went to so many churches with my parents, but we never found one that suited us. Too many of them were proselytizing and condemning every which way, especially towards Islam after 9/11. Every church we went to would try to tell entire families, and especially the youth, that they should go on mission trips to those terrible Muslim lands where women are oppressed and barbaric customs are performed every day, like FGM. My mom wasn't having it, and we didn't attend church other than Easter until I was about 11. At this point, I had decided to take the reins on my own faith and started attending the Catholic church with some of my Catholic friends from school. It was never quite right, but at the same time, it was the best that I had found. I enjoyed the sense of community that I had found, especially in the youth group and on the youth retreats that I went on. And I made the decision to convert, which was a long and arduous process with hours upon hours of Sunday school, basically, plus extra time to devote to the church. I think that was usually on Wednesdays. At the time, I found it amazing and completely worth it, but quite rapidly I found myself falling away from it because it just didn't work with my personal core beliefs. So I left that and searched fervently in the various religions of the world for my God. After my dad passed away when I was 15, my mom and I ended up moving to the city of Denver, Colorado, where I went to South High School, which had a very significant Muslim population, as over 160 countries were represented and about 150 languages spoken in the halls. I befriended many Muslims from Somalia, Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine, and so many more. Eventually, I started talking with my first covered friend, Laura, about what Islam really was. I learned about Jesus from the Islamic sense, which personally made a lot more sense than what I had learned from Christianity. I began to do research online, but even though it was only about 10 years ago, online resources weren't nearly as vast and informative as they are today. So in my limited research, I decided that I did not want to become Muslim because it would be too hard to never drink alcohol. Mind you, my dad had been an alcoholic, so to me, quite regular alcohol consumption was the normal thing to do. And I couldn't imagine having to wear a hijab all the time in public, especially with the current feelings towards Muslims. And then at 17, I met my ex-husband, who had also become Catholic the same year I had. So I ended up kind of becoming Catholic, or at least Christian again for a while, and we got married and had an extremely unhealthy, tumultuous, toxic relationship while he was in the Marine Corps. And I ended up a single mother, and while I wasn't quite an atheist, I was certainly agnostic. I was pretty sure that there was a God, but I wasn't sure who he was and whether he was really a part of my life. My last straw with Christianity was at a young church in Minneapolis that was in a heavily concentrated Somalian area of the town. And the pastor was telling the congregation that we must start spreading the word of God and Jesus right in our neighborhood before focusing on the rest of the world. This was a specific attack against the beliefs of the Muslims, the good Muslims there who were minding their own business, not doing anything to anyone. I walked out of that church and I never looked back. I was completely disillusioned and disheartened. I went to another church a couple of times and I could barely stomach the drivel the pastor was spewing. And then I decided that I wanted to look at Islam again. Over the next year, I did an insane amount of research in every single spare moment I had, from Nye Armstrong or Dina Tokyo and her husband, to the BBC documentaries about Islam's history and science, to Omar Suleiman's Inspiration series. And I began to frequently pick at Dawood's brain for his knowledge and education on Islam. I took in the information like a starved animal and felt immense peace and serenity, calmness. I think any reverts will understand when I say the sheer magnitude that I felt when I decided to become Muslim. There is a wave of euphoria and joy unlike anything I could ever hope to describe. It's like your heart lightens and you feel elevated. This is it. This is truth. I have finally found God, my God. And it is amazing. The moment I said my Shahada with my chosen witness was one of the most life-altering moments I have ever had. My previous life is done, and now I am happily choosing to never look back. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu Muhammadan Rasulullah. Yay!